You know, in the world of high stakes competition, your greatest asset isn't your talent. It's not even your ambition. It's your emotional control. Today, we're cracking open the playbook on how to forge that control into something truly unbreakable. So, here's our game plan for building your emotional sovereignty. First, we're going to pinpoint the real problem, then learn to see the game board for what it really is. After that, we'll build your internal defenses, master the tactics of control, and finally, really understand the ultimate goal of all this. All right, let's get right to the heart of it. We've been taught, conditioned really, to believe that our sensitivity is some kind of virtue. But let's be honest, in the ruthless arena of the professional world, unchecked emotion isn't a strength, it is your single greatest liability. I want you to really think about this. When someone knows what makes you angry, what makes you feel insecure, or even what makes you crave their approval, well, they've got a lever they can pull anytime they want. Your reactions become predictable. And a predictable player, that's an easily manipulated player. Your own emotions become the very chains holding you back. And this right here, this is the root of the whole vulnerability. It's that belief that every little slight, every setback, every betrayal is some kind of direct commentary on your worth. This one learned behavior is the entry point for almost all manipulation. It's the crack in your armor that everyone else will happily exploit, because the second they have you reacting emotionally, they control you. Okay, so now it's time to completely flip the script. We're going to move away from taking everything personally and start seeing things strategically. And that requires you to, well, step back from the board and observe the entire game, adopting the perspective of a cool, dispassionate strategist who's just analyzing every single move. You have to get this one fundamental truth burned into your mind because it's the foundation for all strategic thinking. Most actions taken by your colleagues, your competitors, even your allies, they're not really designed to hurt you. They're designed to advance themselves. They are driven by their own needs, their own fears, their own ambitions. And understanding this isn't about being cynical, it's about gaining clarity. This shows you the critical disconnect, right? The massive gap between words and intent. You have to learn to filter everything people say through this lens of self-interest. Don't just listen to what they say. Analyze why they're saying it to you right now. Every word, every gesture, it has a purpose, and it's almost always tied to their own personal game. So here's your new discipline. Replace that emotional reaction with rational analysis. The moment you feel that surge of anger or insecurity, you must implement a hard pause. And in that little space you create, you start refining your internal monologue. Instead of just reacting, you ask yourself these questions. This simple habit, this one little shift, takes you from being a pawn in their game to an observer of it. All right, once you can see the game clearly, the next move is obvious. You have to build an inner defense, a fortress that nobody can breach. This is the real work. This is about forging true emotional sovereignty. Now, this is the primary weakness we have to just completely eliminate. I'm talking about that deep-seated addiction to being seen, being praised, and getting validation from other people. This core dependency, this need for approval, is the root of so many other issues, making you just as vulnerable to a little bit of praise as you are to an insult. It's not a need, it's a massive liability. And this is your mission. Your sense of self-worth must be built internally, founded on your own metrics, in a place that's totally inaccessible to others. Just imagine it. When praise doesn't lift you up and criticism doesn't crush you, you become completely unpredictable. You become sovereign. And to those people who rely on manipulation to get by, that makes you very, very dangerous. Okay, so this is the active work. This is what you actually do. You practice solitude, not as some kind of punishment, but as a training ground to strengthen your internal world. You learn to just sit with your own thoughts without needing a distraction. You define what success means to you, totally independent of titles or what other people think. And then you track your progress in maintaining your composure, not in gaining their approval. You consciously practice letting both compliments and insults just wash over you, with no effect. All right, let's get tactical. This is where all that theory hits the pavement. We're going to cover the specific disciplines you need to maintain your composure in the heat of the moment and how you can turn every single frustration into an exercise for mental stillness and, ultimately, strategic advantage.
Look, your discipline begins before you even walk into the office. Before you even check your email, you run through the day's likely challenges and you rehearse your own impassiveness. You sit in silence for 10 minutes, not to clear your mind, but to observe it, to get familiar with its patterns without being controlled by them. And finally, you affirm to yourself that your worth is non-negotiable no matter what happens today. In any high-pressure situation, a negotiation, a tense meeting, the urge to fill silence is just overwhelming, isn't it? You have to resist that impulse. Calculated silence isn't passive. It is an offensive tool. It's a demonstration of absolute, unshakable control. It's fascinating what happens when you just stay quiet. Your opponent's mind starts racing. They over-explain. They give away leverage. They reveal their anxieties. Your silence projects strength and forces them to confront their own weakness. It can shift the entire power dynamic in the room without you having to say a single word. An aggressor, someone coming at you with hostility, they expect and they feed on your reaction. They want to see you flustered or angry or defensive. So when you give them nothing, a calm expression, steady breathing, absolute stillness, you starve their attack of its power. It's like they're trying to punch water. Your impassiveness becomes a truly unbreakable shield. So, we've covered the mindset, the strategy, and the in-the-moment tactics. Now let's look at the state you're actually working to achieve. This is the ultimate expression of emotional discipline, becoming the unmoved mover. You see, true power doesn't need to announce itself. It's not loud. It doesn't argue. And it certainly doesn't need to win every little debate. It comes from an internal certainty that is just unshakable. When you have absolutely nothing to prove to anyone, your actions are driven by pure strategy, not by a fragile ego. And this right here, this is the sovereign mindset. You're no longer reacting to all the world's provocations. You're observing, you're choosing your response, and you're acting with deliberate, focused intention. Your emotional state is your kingdom, and you are its absolute ruler. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Emotional discipline isn't about feeling nothing. It's about deciding what is actually worthy of your emotional energy. It's the freedom to choose your response. It's the power to decide that petty insults and clumsy manipulations are simply beneath you, deserving only of your silence. That is true power. And now you have the playbook to go out and achieve it.